Today's Tuesday, April 26th, 2022. Time is 11:03 a.m. This is a special meeting agenda to go over the proposed fiscal 23 budget for our solid waste organization. Calling the meeting to order, obviously, attending Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Filios. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we have our director, JP, John Phillips. We have Doug Woodwin, and of course, Angela, our finance lady. And so it is one simple item, review of the solid waste fiscal 23 budget. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having us. John Phillips for the record. The Solid Waste Department is here today to present to you our fiscal year 2023 proposed budget. The department's business and finance manager, seated here next to me, is Angela Bergeson. She has put together all of this budget work with input from our site managers, our operations manager, and myself. Angela will be presenting the bulk of today's information and will answer most of the questions. However, if you have any questions related to equipment purchases or vehicle purchases, Doug Goodwin is here to answer any of those questions. He's our operations manager.
Okay, cool.
And with that, I would go ahead and turn this meeting over to Angela Bergeson to begin the presentation.
Go, Angela.
Good morning, Commissioners. So I have some handouts for you. A lot of our FY23 budget, a majority of the budget lines I kept the same. The things that there are increases for, as you can imagine, are fuel, hauling contracts. The other big changes, construction and equipment costs, but those always fluctuate for the solid waste department. Construction is actually down. And we really looked at what our needs were versus what we could push out given the cost of things right now. So you'll see that overall, we our budget for FY23 is down
About $500,000.
4% from FY22.
Okay.
And a lot of that, of course, is those construction costs. But there were some projects that we had originally thought that we were going to do by this time frame that we did push out to help with those costs and see if things stabilize a little bit before we take those projects on. So you have some handouts there. There is the solid waste budget snapshot, and that is just at a glance. You have the A budget, B budget, and capital budget. And then there is the full report as well that kind of looks into each of those areas a little more. So I'll kind of bounce back and forth between those two documents. And then you also have the tabs, so like a little more about A budget, B budget, and C budget. So what I'll do is I'll start with the snapshot, and then we'll just work our way through it. So for FY23, personnel costs, we don't have a lot of input on. But I will show you the areas that we do. So we have, of course, the bonuses and things. A lot of it, again, I kept it the same. Overtime is exactly the same amounts that we did for FY22. It's working well for us, so unless something really needed to be changed, I didn't. One that is our seasonal employees, that there is a rise in that since, thank you, Commissioners, we were able to increase their wage from $15 an hour to $14 as of the last time we met for seasonals. So that is the same amount of employees. We are having a hard time getting seasonal workers, as you know, everybody's having a tough time with staffing. So typically we don't spend anywhere near that. Like for FY21, we spent $28,648 on seasonal employees because of staffing. But for the budget, I have in there what it would be if we did have full staffing. And then the one big ask as far as personnel, we would like to add an equipment operator at the landfill. As we all know, garbage is up. We have some projects also coming up. We have landfill expansion and all the things of maintaining our landfill. So having a person run equipment and also as well as be a laborer to help with all of that is what we are asking, is for one more position.
Okay.
Okay. So that's really it for the A budget, not a lot of changes. Any questions on those?
No?
I'm just curious, on your snapshot and on this, is that 54,000 reflected somewhere?
It is in there. It is, so it's not it's not in the part that I plan as far as, but Dina has it figured in. So in the,
Because it's it's kind of considered a new program. It's on the outside instead of the inside.
exactly, on
Okay.
the full report, there's the things for the A budget, but down at the bottom, it is reflected in this grand total.
Okay.
It's still in there.
Okay.
You just don't see it in the
Gotcha.
numbers that I work with. So we put the request in for the additional person. I worked with Dina. She helped me with what the loaded rate would be for that.
Yeah.
And she put that in our wages and stuff.
Got
She
it.
has that all
Perfect.
figured in our expenses. But it's at a different level than what I work at.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's still there. So B budget.
Yep, B budget. Uh-huh.
So B budget, our ask is higher than what it was for '22.
Uh-huh.
So we are looking at $9,881,643 for a request.
Is that primarily fuel?
It is, and I have a really good breakdown of that for you.
Okay.
So on the next, so going to expenditures. So I have the top row there shows all of the budget lines for each, for admin, for Ramsey, Prairie, our rural sites, and the landfill. And so we are up overall, it would be 8%, which isn't bad, especially, and that's including fuel. So if you take those costs out, there's no capital in this. If you take out fuel, our total operating costs are only, if we go with what we would like to do, would be a 2% increase.
And that includes the removal of hauling, right, as well?
What's
The
that?
budget,
Yeah, no hauling, no fuel.
So transport to the landfill and from rural sites.
And then, just for fun, because I like to play with numbers, here's just fuel and hauling costs.
Yeah.
So with what our contracts are, what the fuel is, what I have it budgeted as, and I was pretty conservative as far as the costs that I went with for how much diesel, what to rate it as for diesel and unleaded. And that's really in hopes that, there's gonna be peaks and valleys as always. I don't wanna budget it at the peak, so I kind of picked a mid-range, price point.
This is a nice depiction
Thank you.
showing the impact.
So it is a big one. It is a big one, especially since a big part of what we do is hauling.
You're running machinery all day.
Yep.
At all of our sites, pretty much.
At all of the
At the 2 transfer stations in the landfill.
Yeah. And then, of course, in there is, in case we have to haul leachate from the landfill, those costs are in there. We don't always have to, so a lot of times we end up coming in under budget if some of those things that we plan for the worst, hope for the best, but of course we want to be prepared. So this request would make us prepared. FY23, so otherwise, their budget lines for operations, let's see here. Our security, the costs of that have gone up a little bit. But pretty nominal things. Of course, equipment, maintenance supplies, that's where we see a big one, but metals are up, the cost of tools and parts and all those things are up. Let's see here. And you can kind of look along there and see if anything jumps out at you, and I can
So,
touch on if you would like.
construction.
We are, one that you'll notice is some of our training. We have a lot of new employees, which is great that we've actually had luck in getting some employees. We also have some training, FY20, everything stopped as far as being able to train. So for 20 and 21, it was really low as far as what we spent on training. We did we're not quite at FY19 numbers, but it's getting closer so that we can start, making sure that everybody is well-trained for things. So there is
I
an
have a
increase on training.
quick question here.
Sure.
So to clarify for the commissioners on seminars and professional, does that include the CDL, the possible new CDL requirements?
Yes.
So, and just for clarification, we may or may not be able to continue training new employees to obtain Class A and B commercial driver's license. And it may cost somewhere, we think, around $1,500 per new employee to provide that training. And that is a significant reason why that number is much higher.
Okay.
It is a big one. Yes, for CDLs, actually, for what I did for professional trainings and seminars, I put in, it's a little over half that number is just for CDLs, which we have to have. But yes, it has changed. And hopefully, and again, as we get closer to see what the cost actually is, we'll see how it really shakes out. But again, planning for the worst.
Okay.
Any questions on B budget?
No, fine.
Okay. So our C budget, again, as from the snapshot, we are below, more than what we spent for FY21, but below 22. And again, a lot of this includes our carry forward. A lot of times we plan for a project in a budget, but we don't get to do it in that fiscal year, kind of like the landfill building that we had for FY22. That's not in this figure for 23, but that will get moved after the fact so that we can still do that.
So basically, you're down because of the deferred capital projects,
A big part of it.
construction that you couldn't award.
Yes.
Well, and they're not gonna build a building every year, so.
Right.
That helps.
And there are the development of E3 at the landfill. That's another that if we push that, again, we were looking at our needs and costs of things and seeing, okay, do we really need to right now, or can we move that one more year? And on other projects too, of course, we need to maintain the level of services that we do, but we want to be smart about it. If it's something that we could wait, we are.
Okay.
So capital, this is the highlight, or kind of breakdown of what it is. We're looking at $2,655,000. We have a better look at this is the list that I have. It kind of shows exactly what we're asking for. Each year we've been getting 2 transfer trailers for Ramsey and Prairie, and that's to help keep up our fleet. Then that way we can surplus as we need to, and also maintain all the services with all of the waste coming in and making sure that we can get it transported quickly over to the landfill. So transfer trailers, loader at Ramsey, it was on our equipment. A lot of this is according to our equipment replacement plan as well. So we kind of map out, okay, once a vehicle gets to a certain aged, then we want to replace it. And again, because we don't want one to go down, because it would be detrimental. We need these pieces of equipment each to keep going. So loader, we would have a trade-in as well for this one. So trading out an old one.
So that's why it's so low?
That is a big part of it. And we tried, we're looking at the costs of them as well. So I didn't really overinflate these numbers. I was trying to play it pretty true. Yes,
I mean,
a little
it's just
padding
very
just
low
in
for a
case.
loader, so that's why I was asking. So the
Right.
trade-in, I guess, is pretty.
Did we get a quote on that loader, Doug?
Did we?
Yeah, did get just a basic quote on the loader, and that's a pretty good number.
Okay.
A waste handler is generally 20% more than you would pay for a loader if you're out on a construction site, so, yeah, that was a pretty good number.
And then a recycle truck. Let's see, the scale heaters, those sorts of things. Athol improvements were one to pave out there. The mechanic truck accessories, that one we decided instead of buying a brand new truck, we're going to make one that we have work. And again, costs of things and using what we've already got. Compactor rebuild, that's a big one. That one, of course, it's better than buying a brand new. And we got a very good quote. So chances are it will be less than this, but again, I wanted to make sure that we,
What do they cost brand new?
Over $1 million for a brand new machine is the estimated price in the future. That may come in less, but there also is some GPS grade control and things like that that might be added to the machine. So we wanted to make sure that with hypothetical or inflationary numbers that could be coming at us, just a crystal ball look at it, we wanted to make sure we had enough money for the rebuild and everything necessary to get
The
that machine.
last one, wasn't it 850?
I would have to look back. What we might have to do in the future though is go to the next size, larger compactor. So the most recent one we purchased is an Aljon 525, and I want to say it is in the mid 8s. What the new Caterpillar size, the next bigger size, which is I think a 936, is over $1 million. So that's what we're looking at. Is the landfill's getting larger, and we're going to need bigger equipment to process that increased waste load.
Okay.
and then the other one, E3 design. So we've been working with our engineers. And next up will be for FY23, we'll look at permitting and all of that. So it's just getting ready for the next cell. And then we have some carry forward in those areas for the storage building and the landfill expansion. So pretty common things. But that's really, yeah, nothing too crazy on it. Any questions on any of the projects or equipment? Okay,
I don't think so. Bill, any questions?
yeah, anything overall or?
Bill?
Overall, I think the dump is run pretty well. I was at a dinner party Saturday night, and the subject of the dump came up, not from me,
Oh,
and people were raving about the dump. And I said, hey, it's just how we roll.
you mean transfer stations? I'm just kidding. I got you.
But really, thank you guys very much. It's neat to be proud of a department, even though I've had nothing to do with it.
Question that I have, the last two items, the storage building and the landfill expansion in the C budget. When you indicate carry forward, you don't indicate an amount.
Right.
Go ahead.
So it will be the amounts planned, like for the storage building, we already have some engineering costs that come out. Those will stay in FY22.
Okay.
That's what has already been spent. The part that hasn't been spent, I'll carry forward into FY23 for those projects. I didn't add any additional funds in FY23 for it.
Yeah, so the remaining amount from those projects that wasn't spent.
Exactly.
Understood. Okay. we indicate an action item.
So with this budget, is it okay to submit it as presented?
Yep, I'm fine with it.
Fine. All three.
Maybe?
Absolutely, please.
Here you go, guys. Good job as
Please
usual.
do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Public
You
comment?
want-
Oh, yeah, public-
Public comment.
No one on, no one on. Okay, 11:23, meeting adjourned. Thank you.